couple weeks ago. We left church on a Wednesday night, and it's been a great night. And the pastor was going and doing his thing, and as always, God was doing his thing, and so that was really great. So when we got home, I felt a twinge in my body, in my back, like something was not right. I didn't know what that was exactly, but I didn't think too much about it. Just kind of said a gee whiz prayer, oh, well, God take care of that. Kind of let that go and figure that, I know God's good and those things are always going to come, so you don't bother about them too much and just know that things come and go. But when I woke up in the morning, things weren't quite right. I could tell I was just feeling very nauseous, not good at all, but I thought, well, I'll just head on to work and, press through. I don't usually let myself get bothered by such things, I went to work, was there about an hour, and I could tell I am not going to hang with this at all. There's something wrong. And so I went home. It was about 8:30 in the morning. Ended up just curling up in bed and being out for 12 hours. Woke up at 8:30 that night and sat up with my wife, had some water, and just started feeling poorly again real quick. So about an hour, I went back to sleep and slept all night. Had heard of a doctor, a real good guy from people I know. Said, oh, he's a good guy, he'll help you out, And so we went and saw him. And he says, well, I see you don't have insurance. Do you want to run a bunch of tests or probably not? And I said, no, definitely not. I don't want to put out the money for such things if we don't have to. He just looked and thought, well, it could be this, could be that, flu, whatever kind of things, and different things. He said, could be a virus, could be this or that. So he gave me some antibiotics. Said, take these, this ought to help. Saturday morning I woke up and it was still just not right at all. And I could tell I was hurting and different things were just not right. So I told Roberta at that point, my wife, I said, it seems like every time I take a drink, about 10 minutes later, the fever goes way up, and I end up, doubled up in pain and pretty well just wanted to just curl up and pass out. And so I took a big drink of water, and we waited about 10 minutes, and the fever went up, and I doubled up in pain, and I said, I think I'll just pass out now, thanks. And so when I woke up from that, she had spent some time on the internet looking up all the different things, and she says, well, it looks like it could be this, or this, none of which were real pleasant prospects. They're all fairly serious and major issues. So I called a friend of mine who's a nurse, and I said, hey, I got this issue happening in my body, and these are kind of the symptoms. And he says, well, none of those are real good. None of them are things you can do yourself or fix. Those are all serious, need to be taken a look at. You need to be in the hospital. About that time, I could tell I'm getting rattled by this, and this is getting to be too much for me. So I was like, Lord, what do I do with this? And I felt really impressed that we should do as the scripture says and, call for the elders of the church. So we mixed that with faith and put out a call to the church, and Pastor Joey was kind enough, and George, and they came and prayed with us once we got to the hospital. And they had already taken the initial vitals and so forth, and they were just waiting to put us into a room so they could do this ultrasound test. They said that'll be the final test on everything. At that time, Joey and George prayed with us. It was really sweet. And there was no fire from heaven or anything like that. It was just, just a prayer. It was very pleasant. It was very right. It seemed like it was the right thing. It was what God had instructed us to do, so we did just that. So at that point, we ended up going into the waiting room, exam room, and the doctor comes in and says, well, looking at your vitals and looking at all the different things, and he's touching and poking and prodding, and says, well, it looks like, and of course we won't know until you go for the ultrasound, but it looks like right now you're either going to be going under the knife tonight, or if things aren't as bad as it looks, you may be able to hold till tomorrow and we'll get you in, but it looks like your gallbladder is going to be out by the end of today or tomorrow at the latest. Now I'm laying in the bed just kind of waiting, figure, well, we've prayed, we've done the things God asked us to do, so we'll just wait. If he's got to pay hospital bills, he'll pay hospital bills. Well, while we're waiting, I told Roberta at this one point, I felt a change in my body, and the only way I could describe it was to say it was as if right from the center of my being, right there where the pain was, there was like a cloud that just kind of like a puff of smoke just kind of came right on up and just poof, dissipated out. Didn't know how else to describe it, but something had taken place. And they come and they do all their things with this thing wanding over you, and they take all their pictures and they bring us back. And about an hour later, the doctor comes back and he's looking at all the pictures and things they had, and he says, well, I don't know what to think at this point because I can't find a thing wrong with you. which is exactly what Pastor Joey had prayed, that they would not be able to find a thing wrong. And we'd be healed and back on our way home. Well, that's exactly what happened. So it was quite a time, because he was certain that there was no hope, and there was definitely going to be gallbladder surgery happening. But apparently God had other ideas. When you take the time to look at God in the midst of a bad situation, if you keep your eyes up looking to Him, it opens up possibilities and opportunities that if we keep our head down looking only at the problem, all we see is the problem, and we don't see opportunities. But if we keep our eyes up looking to God, there's always opportunities for what He can do.